On today's episode of The Average Garage, we're going to start another project. Let's see what happens. What's the worst that could happen? Alright, so this is the drift trike that I picked up. I got it pretty cheap, so I've already got the motor. So now I just need to fit it all up. I've got a clutch on the way, so there's a clutch coming for the motor. Then we're going to bolt it up and see what we can make of this thing. Tidy it up a bit. It's got what looks to be the rear axle off a small quad, like a 110 quad or something. So yeah, we're gonna see what we can make of this thing. All right, so forgive my messy workbench. I am still in the process of cleaning this bloody shed out, but let's start with what was the rat's nest. So
every friend in my family, from a girl, every fan I meet myself. I'm too on till I'm too off. Come down to make new thoughts, like jumping off of that rooftop. Whole life never when I do not to make moves based on my mood drops. Like who's lost? Like who's lost? It's yo, steadily killing me, running my brain full of shame. I don't wanna lose it. Full of stage, trying to find my pain. I see the sun coming out of that rain. My day really not tame. I'ma never slow down. I'ma never behave. Stuck inside this prison, inside this cage. It's taking over.
I gotta fix the pull start. Come on. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's a new day. So last you would have seen is me sort of prepping this thing a little bit. So I've got this new project here, the drift trike. Today I'm going to be trying to mount the motor, and then I'll have to order some more parts, but let's get to mounting the motor and see how we can do that. So first things first, I'm going to have to make a motor mount plate. So the motor has 4 bolts through the back of it, or through the bottom of it. There's one there, and the same on the front. So I'm going to have to make a plate similar to this plate that's already there, except much wider, that covers this whole area. The plate's going to bolt to these bits of steel here, and the motor's going to bolt to the plate. And there's a little way I've thought of to be able to make it as a chain adjuster as well. So let's go get some steel. Alright, so I used my correct PPE, nice big mask, ground all the paint off of that piece of metal that now blends in with the floor. There's a piece of metal there, that's going to be the new motor mount. Let's get to it. Alright, the engine's down there. I've got my base plate under here, and don't worry about the writing, but you can just see there's little marks there. I've done what's called a pressure transfer print, cut some holes out, measured it up. So now I'm going to hit it with a center punch, drill the holes, then I can bolt the motor plate to the motor, or the engine plate to the engine, whatever you want to call it. And then I can worry about how I'm going to make this engine plate sit on the frame. As you can see, I've got the plate, the 4 bolt holes for the engine, and 4 slots for where it's going to mount to the frame itself. Alright, so I've got the motor mocked up here. So as you can see, I've got a plate. The motor is actually bolted to the plate like so. It's like 2 or 3 mil thick. And then I've got 4 bolts on the outside. They're all on a slot. So I can adjust the chain tension and make sure the motor's nice and straight. If you look down the chain, it looks pretty straight to me. Maybe not on camera because of the fisheye lens, but it looks pretty straight, and it doesn't look like it's going to try and walk off the sprockets. So I'm going to tack the bolts from the motor plate, I'm going to tack to the actual chassis, and then I'm going to weld them to the chassis, and then I should be able to move that whole plate and motor around as one to adjust the chain and make sure it's not going to do anything stupid. Alright, so as you can see, I've just cut a V out of these front pipes here. So I'm going to pull this off, I'm going to fold the pipe round on itself and then weld it back together, and then that's going to give me a foot peg. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am super pumped. The engine is on and it runs. I've just had it test fired, but I'm going to start it up now for you so you can see that it's going to run. The only thing I have left to do now is hook up a throttle cable. So I'm going to have to figure out what the go is with the governor on this, maybe remove it and rig up a throttle cable for it. So stay tuned, but for now you'll see the motor run. Okay, so I've been thinking a little bit and I'm going to try and ghetto rig a throttle cable. So I say ghetto rig and I really mean ghetto rig. We're going to see if this works, but I doubt it will. But I've got a throttle cable coming on Monday just in case. So among my messy workbench, I've got this piece of just random bit of steel laying around. I'm actually going to use these as cable clamps. So I'm just going to cut them up and bend them up a bit. Alright, so I've got two of these electrical connectors. I've already stuck one on the cart. But what I'm doing, I'm using these as cable joiners. So, because it's essentially throttle cable or bike brake cable, I'm actually using the gear change cable off an old mountain bike for this, just to extend the cable that I already had. So you undo these. Right, so I've got the electrical connector out, as you can see. So it's very simple, and I'm going to join the cable with these. Now doing it this way will actually give me a little bit of adjustability as well, as far as the throttle cable, if I need to make it longer or shorter. This is a great way to do it. Make sure these are nice and tight. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the lighting is not the best and I apologise, but it is done. So I've rigged up this as the throttle. I had a lot of dramas with it, trying to get the kinks out of the cable and stuff. I've got a new cable if I need to, but I shouldn't need to now. Now this is only cable tied on for now. That's good enough. I will eventually put a proper clamp on it, but there's my join between the two cables. Something to hold that end, and it follows through, goes underneath, trying not to stand in the light too much, up and around. There's another clamp, and as you'll see, maybe in here, there's a split pin or a cotter pin and another joiner. So that's my throttle assembly. Now I gave it a quick rip just to test, and there was a bit of an issue with the engine actually only revs to 3,000 at the moment, and it has a potential to rev to about 5,500. So the clutch isn't quite grabbing as much as I'd like, and it's not quite doing as much as I'd like. So I'm going to look into ripping out the governor from this engine. No, the motor won't last as long. Yes, the motor will rev, it'll get valve float before it destroys itself, so that's not something I really need to worry about. Alright, so we're out here in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it's quite far out from everything, so I'm not in anybody's way. We're going to see how the drift trike goes, and it's only going to be short, but it should be sweet. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so you'll just see it went for a little bit of a drift. I wouldn't say it was much of a drift. It really didn't want to go at all. The motor is way underpowered. Well, not so much underpowered, it's really not geared very well. So I'm going to order some more parts. But while I was investigating the flat tire that it has, I found some bad news. The previous owner has actually ghetto rigged it really bad, and the wheels were glued to the axles. There's no spline on the wheels. They were literally glued to the axles because they're the front wheels off a pocket quad. So I've got some different wheels coming to hopefully fix that problem, and I'm gonna have to remedy it with probably some custom spacers. I've got a mate at RK Developments, I'm sure that's his Instagram. So he's gonna try and hook me up, otherwise I'll make some here, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, so as you can see down here, that was simply removing the wheel, quite literally, because all this is like epoxy or liquid nails or something like that. It's all made a right mess of the wheel. That's just chilling like that. So I've got some new wheels on the way, and we'll make something up as far as an adapter. And I might even look at getting some different gearing, because this motor actually does rev out quite a bit. It's a bit low on compression, but that's no big drama. It does rev out to about 5,500, but in the video it sounded like it was only reaching about 2. So in the next episode you will see me fitting some different wheels, and we'll get this thing going again and hopefully get it spinning how it should and have some fun. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, drop down below what you think I should do to it. It is a possibility that I may give it away in a bit of a competition for the channel. If that happens, then I'll give you more details when the time comes. So stay tuned for now, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button, stay tuned on what's coming, and we'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.